Oh, so there's this girl named Lena, and she's having sleep paralysis, right? I don't know how that goes. She can't move. However, there's a whispering in her ear. Something is whispering something, but she can't understand what it's saying. She's terrified. She's freaking out, right? And after about 10 to 15 seconds, she snaps out of it. Sleep paralysis is done. She instantly sat up to take a breather because that was traumatizing. That was scary. Anybody who's had sleep paralysis know how scary it is. Anyways, as she's sitting there, she's looking at her dresser, and her dresser happened to have a mirror that happened to be facing her. Yeah. In the mirror, she's looking at herself, her reflection sitting up. And as she's looking at herself, something seems off. But then again, she just woke up, so her eyes are still kind of blurry. So she rubs her eyes, trying to figure out, just getting herself together. So she reaches to grab her phone, right? Only to realize, wait a minute, my reaction didn't reach to grab her phone either. That's when she started to really focus on her reflection, in the mirror, to realize that her reflection, her in the mirror, is sitting up, but she's not moving. She's just looking at her. She stands up, gets a little closer to the mirror to make sure, and her reflection is still indeed sitting there. And as she got closer to the mirror, she realizes her reflection that is not moving also has this shadowy figure standing behind her. And automatically she looks behind her in the room, but there's nobody in the room, but the figure is in the mirror. And if you thought she was terrified from the sleep paralysis before, she's definitely shitting her pants now. She froze, y'all. She froze. As much as she wanted to run out the room, her body gave up on her. And as she's frozen, she's watching this shadowy figure move closer to her reflection and touch her on the shoulder. The crazy thing is, her reflection is not even flinching. It's like her reflection don't even know what's going on, like a zombie. Then, all of a sudden, her reflection is turning her head to face the shadowy figure. And when it made eye contact with the shadowy figure, it started to smile. She started to smile, except it's not her. And then she turns back to look at Lena and smile even wider. Then the shadowy figure whispers something to the reflection of Lena in the mirror. As the shadowy figure is whispering whatever it is that it's whispering, Lena is hearing it in her ear. And it's the same whispering she was just hearing from the sleep paralysis. At this point, she was really frozen, except she doesn't even think at this point that she's frozen because her body is scared. She thinks she's frozen because she's being held in that place, in that spot. She's trying to move. She wants to move, but she can't. It's as if she's tied up to that spot. The more the figure was whispering, the weaker she felt like she was getting. At this point, Lena starts to pray in her mind. Because she's like, this is the end for me. I really want to go. I want to run, but I can't move. And she's hearing those whispers in her ear. And the more she was praying in her head, the angrier the whispers got, the louder the whispers were getting. So she took that as a challenge to try and pray in her mind even louder. All of a sudden, her dad busts into her room. Gets in there, he finds her standing in front of her mirror, staring at it, saying nothing. He instantly scooped her up and brought her to his room. As soon as he got there, he grabbed his Bible and started praying. Come to find out, Dad was sleeping and was having a dream. He was having a dream that Lena was screaming and crying for him, saying, help me, Dad, help me, they're taking me away, they're taking me away. Except he was in the middle of a forest, he hears her voice, but didn't know where she was coming from. And then he woke up and decided to go check on Lena. And that's when he found her like that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a reason why you should not be sleeping with a mirror facing you. If you know, you know. I'm assuming by now y'all heard about that girl that lied and said she almost got kidnapped by her Lyft driver or something. Everybody's talking about this, right? My mutuals are making videos about it. I keep seeing it. Forget the girl. Let me tell y'all about the time that I had to get in the Lyft for an hour from where I am in Jersey to all the way to Atlantic City. And my Uber driver was creepy as hell. Not Uber, Lyft, sorry. He kept asking me to marry him. He kept saying, why would I marry him? Do I have friends for him? Friends that look like me because he likes me. It was just crazy. I was terrified the whole time. Because if you think about it, that ride was an hour and some change. And he just kept, he even tried to play Justin Bieber Baby for me so I can marry him. Let me just show y'all.
Any extra up here?
Extra who?
Up here. Like an extra boyfriend.
Extra boyfriend?
Yeah.
Do I have any extra boyfriend? No, I don't do that. No, I don't cheat. Sorry.
You loved?
Huh?
You love your boyfriend?
Yes, I do. I love my boyfriend.
I like you.
You like me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. That's flattering.
That's why I told you.
You said what?
That's why I told you.
Oh, that's why you told me. Oh,
You
yeah.
want to be my girlfriend?
You said what?
You want to be my girlfriend?
Do I want to be your girlfriend?
Yeah.
I don't think my boyfriend would like that.
Okay, there another thing. Me another. I got to do. In morning go with you, boyfriend. In night go with me.
No, I don't do that. I'm sorry. I don't cheat. I don't do multiple boyfriends.
You are living in the USA.
So, I mean, I'm not from the USA, so.
I'm also not from USA.
Yeah, I'm from Haiti.
I'm from India.
Oh, nice. Can drop my boyfriend and marry you?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Y'all hear that nervous laugh? At one point, he kept going into his glove compartment. I know y'all could see it in the text messages and pulling something out. And then he asked me, "Do I want a gum?" I was like, "Oh no, thank you. I don't want a gum." And then he tries to hand it to me anyway, even after I said, "No thanks, I don't want a gum." And then he waited like 5 minutes again to offer me gum again. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm about to die." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm about this small. This guy is going to get me tonight." So my sister ended up calling me and I said out loud that, yeah, I sent you my location of the lift so you can know exactly where it's going. I really just wanted to say that out loud because I thought that maybe, like, and he started doing this towards, like, I want to say 15 to 20 minutes into this ride. I think it was probably like 30 minutes. My first red flag should have been when I went outside to get in the lift and he was like pouring water on his face. And I asked him, I was like, "Are you okay?" He was like, "Yeah, his contacts are bothering him." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. I understand that." However, I made it safe. The ride went perfectly fine. I had somebody on the phone with me the whole time. Thank God. Y'all, so picture this. It's a nice little summer night, You're going to the store real quick before the store closes to get you something to eat, some snacks, something, right? And to go to the store, you have to go through an alley. An alley that might look like this. But there's nothing to worry about, right? You take this road all the time when you're going to the store. Except you didn't take into consideration that the month that you're in is December. And quite frankly, December is the month with the most witchcraft done because it's towards the end of the year. Anyway, so you walk through the alley like usual, but you see $20 on the floor. It's your lucky day. You find $20 on the floor. That's 20 extra babies. As you're about to pick it up, something tells you, I don't think you should be touching that money. But then again, it's 20 extra babies, bro. You could buy some food with that. So you brush off that feeling. You like, this is my lucky day. This is my 20. And you pick up the $20 bill and you put it in your pocket. As you're putting it in your pocket and you start to walk away, the moment you look up, you see a black cat right there, standing in the alleyway, facing you. Now, where the hell did that cat come from? It's not moving. It's just standing there. You're a little creeped out, so you try to do a little so the cat can run away, but it didn't budge. At this point, your gut feeling is telling you, don't walk near that cat. Something is off about it. But then again, you just got 20 extra babies and you can get more stuff from the store. And you already started walking towards the store anyway. So as careful as possible, you walked right past that cat and you go to the store. Not taking into account that you also had to walk through the same alley to go back home. Go to the store, you spend that 20 babies, you got some snacks, some food, some drinks, you start to head back home. And thankfully, on the way back home, that black cat was nowhere to be found. So you go home like everything, you enjoy your snacks, and when you get tired, you go to bed like usual. Except at 3 a.m. sharp in the morning, you wake up in cold sweats, only to realize that same black cat that you saw earlier from the alley is standing on top of you, on your bed. So you wake up in the middle of the night, and there's the cat, on your bed, on top of you. And at this point, you're terrified, of course. You try to reach to your right to grab something, but nothing's there. And that's when you start to realize that you are in your room, except it's only the bed, you, and the cat. Nothing else. At this point, obviously, you're terrified. So you try to slowly get up without startling the cat. And as you're doing that, you put your hand out on the bed, only to realize your hand is on a $20 bill. And all of a sudden, it clicks. It's the $20 bill that you picked up. As you're looking at this $20 bill that you just touched, you look back and the cat is gone. All of a sudden, everything is back in your room again. At this point, you're confused. You don't know if you're dreaming or if this is actually happening. So you reach for your phone only to realize you're not actually dreaming. This is actually happening. But if you tell anyone about this, nobody's gonna believe you. No one is gonna believe you woke up in the middle of the night and the cat that you saw earlier was in the room with you and nothing else was there and then they were gone. You know. So you try to make sense of what just happened. And you kind of regret picking up that $20 bill, but it's kind of too late because you already spent it. And not only did you spend it, you ate what you spent it on. Yeah, it's that deep. It works like that. Clearly, for the rest of the night, you can't go to sleep. So you stay up for the entire rest of the night. Literally in fear, terrified. Any little noise makes you think that that cat is coming back. And when you finally see the sun start to show out in the window, you're so relieved. Just when it's early enough to know that someone will answer the phone, you call your grandma because your grandma knows about this stuff. Your grandma can probably explain to you what just happened. So you call grandma, you tell grandma what happened, and grandma is instantly worried for you. Grandma is like, you need to pray right now, or we need to get you to a church or something. Now, as terrifying as what happened was, do you really need to go to church though? Is grandma being a little dramatic? You're not sure, but grandma's not really giving you a choice. So you're like, okay, cool, I'll go to the church. And as you're getting ready to go to the church, because grandma wants you to go there, like now, today, you start to get a stomach ache, small. You don't really pay attention to it. However, it just seems like as time is passing and you're getting ready, that stomach ache is getting kind of worse. You feel like you have to go to the bathroom, so you go to the bathroom, except you can't use the bathroom. At this point, as you're on the toilet, it is progressively worse. Like, that pain is starting to be no joke. A couple tears actually start falling from your eyes. And you call grandma again. And you're telling grandma exactly what's happening. Grandma immediately says, I'm on my way. Start praying right now. I'm coming. Grandma takes the liberty to call 911 to come and check on you, even though she had a feeling that if it's spiritual, 911 can't really help, but they may be able to help a little bit until she gets there and she gets you to a church. Grandma rushes to your house like she's speeding, she's running red lights because she knows what you got yourself into. When she gets there, the ambulance and 911 is outside your house. And she instantly tells them, like, I'm the one that called 911. For some reason, they won't let grandma inside. They won't let grandma inside because it is now a crime scene. Because you have now passed away. By the time the cops and grandma got to your house, you were a goner. And that is what happened to Michael's 22-year-old little brother. They never got answers, but they know it was the money because it was the month of December, and that's one of the popular tricks on how to steal souls in the month of December. Cheating is all fun and games until you do it to the wrong person. Scary story time, except it's not really that scary, just funny. This story is from Liberia. So there's this fine Liberian babe. She's in university. She's about to graduate soon. She starts thinking, like, after I graduate, I gotta find me a husband. But lucky for her, she ended up going out and meeting this really nice guy. He's absolutely sweet. The moment he met her, he started to chase her. Exchanged numbers, they got on the phone. Quickly, like, they were on the phone every day. The good thing about it is, he's only a couple years older than her. So he's a little more experienced than her, and he's trying to get her, through life and graduation and how to maneuver in life. They officially get together like they're boyfriend and girlfriend. And things are looking great because at this point, they're in a relationship for like a year. They're always going out on dates, all that. It wasn't until one day they were talking and he said something that kind of got him caught up from a lie that he told a few months ago. Now, he doesn't know that whatever he just said contradicted what he said 3 months ago. Liars don't be remembering their lies. And she took note of that. She didn't even say anything about it. She was just like, why would he lie about something like that? And why am I finding out that he's lying 3 months later? And at that point, something told her to go through his phone. Now, she had never went through his phone before, but this, After that, she had the urge. Like something kept telling her, check that nigga's phone. So she waited. When she got the opportunity, she checked his phone. And she saw a lot of things that shouldn't have been there. However, there was this one number. It was a heart. Like the name was just a heart. Their messages are muted. So she goes through it and it's babe this, babe that. I love you this, I love you that. So she's like, whoa. But she doesn't say anything. She takes the number down. She goes to the phone. She finished what she's doing. She found out all the lies and everything he's been doing. And afterwards, she gets in contact with that number. She calls it. Turns out that man had a whole fiance. She speaks to the fiance. He gets caught up, but she doesn't say anything because, as I said to you guys before, this girl is Liberian. She's like, oh, you're going to do this to me? You must not know who you're messing with. So obviously he's caught up. She confronts him about it. They argue. She ends the relationship, but that's all part of her plan. He's begging for her to forgive him, blah, blah, blah. And so he says he wants to talk. And this is a few days later. She's like, okay, you can come in. We can talk. He comes over. They talk, if you know what I mean. And he leaves. After he leaves, she blocks him on everything. Basically, like, deleted him from her life. However, what he didn't know was that invite, that her telling him to come, is an entire setup. Because that girl did juju on this young man so that the next time they did it, after that time, that man will never be able to get up again. Anytime he's about to engage sexually with somebody, it's not gonna happen. She did it with her chest and it worked. It worked so much to the point where the fiance ended up, staying with him to work it out. But she ends up leaving him because he can't satisfy her. And he couldn't satisfy any other girl for a very long time. He went to the doctor for it. And obviously, they diagnosed him with erectile dysfunction. However, what a lot of you don't know, what a lot of men don't know, is erectile dysfunction is not only physical. It's a spiritual thing too. Y'all think it's okay to be out here cheating on people until you can never get hard again. I tried to unalive my brother. This story submission is from Louisiana. So there's this girl. Let's call her Julia. Julia was an only child up until she wasn't. She was about 6 or 7 years old and her parents, were having a baby. Now, Julia was very excited about this. Like, she was so excited about being a big sister. She imagined all the ways that she was going to help take care of her little brother. Oftentimes, she always used to tell her friend about how excited she is. Now, her friend wasn't as excited as she was. If anything, her friend didn't really like the news at all. But Julia didn't care because she's about to be a big sister. So fast forward, her mom gives birth, her little brother is here. And he is the cutest thing in the world to Julia. She helps feed him, she holds him sometimes, and she's just so proud of being a big sister. But it seems like ever since her little brother got here, her friend isn't so friendly anymore. Like, her friend is not like that. Her friend does not like her little brother. Sometimes her friend would even suggest Julia to do little things that would make her little brother cry. And of course, Julia refused all the time. Now, at this point, I think it's important that I tell you guys that Julia's friend was very much imaginary. Now, her friends, they just didn't think about it too deeply. But Julia vividly remembers this friend, her friend, that imaginary friend, being this old man. And he was always wearing all red, and Julia called him Papa. Now, when Julia's parents, found out about the imaginary friend, Papa, they didn't really think too much of it because a year before, Julia's dad's dad passed away, Julia's Papa. So they're thinking that this is Julia's way of coping with what happened. Anyways, fast forward, there's this one night that Julia goes to sleep and she had a really bad dream. And when she woke up from the bad dream, she heard her little brother crying and screaming. And that dream that she had terrified her, so she needs her parents right now. So she tries to go to her parents' room, except her parents were already up, but they were up with the little brother because little bro had been crying. And when she tried to tell her parents she had a nightmare and she wanted to stay with them, her parents were very dismissive of her because they're trying to care for little brother at that moment. So Julia goes back to her room terrified. She couldn't go back to sleep, so she decided to spend time with friend Papa. And when she told Papa what happened, Papa basically told her, hey, little brother is the problem. Your parents are gonna stop loving you because they're gonna love him more. And tonight was prime example. Papa told her that he thinks that she should wait until little brother goes to sleep and put a pillow over his face. Except Papa said that it would help little brother sleep better so that she can go to her parents' room and spend time with them. Now, after having a nightmare, being sleep deprived, being mad, little 5-year-old Julia considered it. And Papa reassured her that little brother would be okay. He would just be sleeping. It'll help him sleep longer. So Julia decides, okay, well, since it's gonna help little brother, let's do it. So Julia stays up and waits till little brother and both her parents goes to sleep because little brother's crib was in the parents' room. And she goes to their room, she takes a pillow, and right when she was about to help little brother sleep, Mom happened to wake up and catch her right in the action. Imagine witnessing your friend trying to sell you to none other than Baron Samedi. I already know what time it is. It's scary story time. And who needs enemies when you have friends like this? We have this girl. Let's call her Sarah. And the friend that tried to sell her, y'all, not only did that friend try to sell her, that friend attempted to unalive her about 3 times. Let's call her Snake. Yeah. I got my snack, so get yours. So Sarah knew this girl for about a year or so. Throughout that whole year of friendship, she started to notice that Snake had a jealousy problem. Like at first, she didn't want to jump to conclusions and be like, oh, she's jealous of me. But actions started to show slowly. Which was a bit weird because Sarah was never the type to flaunt stuff or brag. She's a really private person, so nobody really knows her business for real. However, Sarah was one of those lucky people that really never had any money issue as an adult. And she thanks God every day for it. Her faith was so strong that money would just naturally come to her. But that doesn't mean she went around bragging about it. She was just blessed. And because that was her friend at the time, she would always help her friend out whenever she needed it. She was even helping take care of her daughter up until she was 2 to 3 years old. And then they stopped talking, she cut her off permanently for the story I'm about to tell you. Anyways, you get it. So this particular day, she woke up with the heaviest feeling on her heart. No matter how hard she tried, that feeling was just there and she didn't know what it was. She tried to ignore it and go to work, but it was such an overwhelming feeling that she had to keep calling her husband about it to tell her husband, something is not right. I have this strange feeling. Throughout the day, too, weird things kept happening. There was these parents that physically tried to attack her. And on her way home, her car literally just died in the middle of the highway. And she almost got into this really bad accident because her car literally just stopped. So finally, after an eventful day, with that feeling still heavy on her heart, she makes it home. She's glad she's home. She tells her husband about it. They pray and they go to bed at the end of the night. And this is where it starts getting crazy because when she went to bed, she fell asleep, right? And when she fell asleep, she got up, left her body on the bed, and her soul went to a cemetery. She doesn't know why. She just knows she went to a cemetery. Her soul went to a cemetery. And when she gets there, she's standing there and she's looking around. From afar, she sees 2 people. She sees a lady and she sees a tall man in a top hat, a cane, and a trench coat. Immediately, she already knew who that was. But she can't really tell who the lady is. Not until the lady started talking and she recognized that was her friend's voice. And her friend said to Baon, I have brought a soul for you to take. Excuse me? And Baon replies to her, I can't take this soul, nor do I want this soul. And Miss Snake seems kind of surprised and offended that Baon said this to her. And so she dares question him. She's like, how dare you refuse a soul? This is what you do. I'm bringing you a perfectly good soul. You can do whatever you want with her, and you're telling me you don't want it? Why? And Baon replies, I can't take her soul. And he raises his cane and points it at her. He says, I do not want her, nor can I take her, so bring me another soul. Bring me someone else. And she says, okay, because it's Baon Samedi. You don't want to argue with him. But the thing is, had she actually tried to bring another soul in the place of Sarah, Baon would have just took her instead. Anyway, Sarah wakes up, right? And she's like, what the heck was that? What the hell? And she wakes her husband up and she explains the dream to her husband. So her and her husband prayed once again. Then they went on about their night. And it wasn't until after the dream, turns out, come to find out, y'all, that same night that Sarah had that dream, Snake went to a voodoo priest to sell Sarah's soul to Baron Samedi. And after she went to the voodoo priest, they did what they did to finalize the sale. She went to the military. Mind you, this is same night. Military. Why did I say military? I meant cemetery. I don't know why that came out. Anyways, she went to the cemetery that same night, do a ritual at the cemetery to finalize killing Sarah. But to her surprise, Baron denied. The whole interaction that she saw in her dream was actually real. She was literally watching Snake, her friend, trying to sell her. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta stay prayed up. You gotta stay protected. Because who needs enemies when you have a friend like Snake? That nurse knew she couldn't save her life physically, so she saved it spiritually. Y'all better get your snacks ready because it's scary story time. So there's this girl. Let's call her Carolina. Carolina's about to get married to the man of her dreams. She's excited about it. Her friends are excited about it. Her family's excited about it. But do you know who's not so excited about it? Her husband's mom. But it didn't matter because at the end of the day, her husband loved her. Her husband is very aware that his mom doesn't like her, but he doesn't care. That's his wife, and that's the person he chose to marry, and that's who he's gonna marry. Even after that mom tried and tried and tried everything that she can to break up their relationship, it was to the point where the husband had to stop talking to his mom for a while. But a little bit before the wedding, she came to her senses. She came to the husband and Carolina and apologized for her behavior. She said that it's just really hard to let her son go. And she's learning, she's becoming a better person, and she would love to be part of the wedding. Because the husband told her, if you keep going with this behavior, you're not invited to the wedding. So Carolina's about to marry the love of her life. Her mother-in-law, which was the problem, isn't really a problem anymore because she apologized. And she has been showing that, she was on her best behavior. Fast forward, the day of the wedding comes. It was a great wedding. Everybody had such a great time. Like, it finally happened. She's married. They go on their honeymoon. They have an amazing time. And they come back and mother-in-law invites them over for dinner. Kind of like her way of saying congratulations and welcome back. Anyway, so they have dinner. Everything goes so great. Mother-in-law seems like she's on board and everything. It feels like they're gonna be a family. So dinner's over, they go home. When they go home, husband wants to do husband and wife things. But Carolina's not feeling too well. So she's like, hey babe, can we just skip tonight? We just had a great time on our honeymoon. I'm not feeling really well. My stomach is not really feeling well. The husband is like, okay, let's go to bed. And they do so, they go to bed. And then Carolina wakes up in the middle of the night with her stomach aching really bad. And then she starts throwing up, like really bad. To the point where there's nothing else in her stomach to throw up anymore. It's literally just stomach acid. And at this point, husband is like, I'm taking you to the hospital. They get to the hospital and Carolina is super dehydrated because she was throwing up so much. So they gave her an IV. However, when they ran tests, they couldn't find the reason why Carolina wouldn't stop throwing up. Because even while she's at the hospital, it's not stopping. This lady has nothing in her stomach anymore, but she just can't stop throwing up. Although she's on an IV, she's just worsening. So much so, she started to throw up blood. Now, mind you, the doctors are doing everything they can. They're trying to find out what's wrong, but they can't find anything. There was this one specific nurse that was really there for Carolina. She was so good to her. And when the nurse was asking her, what's happening? Did you eat anything? She told her, we had dinner at my mother-in-law's house. We're newlyweds. We just got married not too long ago. And immediately when she said that, the nurse made a face. Carolina noticed it, and Carolina's like, is everything okay? Did you guys see something? The nurse is like, no. I'm just, asking questions so we can try to help you. And the nurse finishes up. She leaves the room, and she doesn't really see the nurse again until the husband is not in the room with her. So the nurse comes back, and she looks at Carolina. She says to Carolina, I know that I'm a nurse, but I'm also very gifted. You just told me that you're a newlywed, but from the moment you walked in, something felt off. And she got closer to Carolina and she told Carolina, I don't even know if I'm supposed to do this, but this sickness that you have is not physical, it's spiritual. Somebody is trying to take you out. That's why we can't find anything wrong. But I'm very gifted and I can see right through it. The moment the nurse says that, it all clicks. She realizes it's her mother-in-law. And Carolina is like thanking the nurse. Even though she's sick, she could barely get a word out. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. The nurse is like, if you want some help, I know someone that can help you. She's like, absolutely, just let me talk to my husband about it first. So husband comes back. Carolina has a conversation with her husband about it. And at first, husband was in denial, but eventually it is kind of weird that right after they had dinner, she was perfectly fine. And then this is happening and the doctors can't find anything. And a complete stranger is telling them that this is not physical, it's spiritual. So the husband agrees with the nurse to go get help from somebody. So they spoke to the nurse about it, and clearly Carolina can't leave the hospital right now because she's still not getting better, and they need to do something quick. So the nurse calls up her friend, who's a healer, and the nurse just told them to tell the hospital that that's their friend and that that friend is here to help. And the nurse literally tells them, like, I'm really not even supposed to do this, but I feel like I was placed here to help you guys. Because that night, she wasn't even supposed to work. And so her healer friend came in. He did what he had to do, and he indeed confirmed that this was spiritual and it was coming specifically from mother-in-law. So he did his little ritual. He gave Carolina something to drink. And he says to Carolina, after you drink this, you'll be perfectly fine. But what do you want me to do about mother-in-law? Carolina looks at her husband, and her husband looks at her, and her husband says to the healer, reverse it back to her. Don't make it so that she'll die or anything, but make it so that she feels the same pain that my wife is feeling right now. The healer is like, all right, done. He finished, he left, and funny enough, right after he left, Carolina was all better. I mean, it took a few hours, but over the hours, her health significantly got better until she was okay enough to leave the hospital. And when they were about to leave the hospital, guess who gets a phone call from his mom saying she's in immense pain and that she needs him right now? Hope y'all got y'all snacks, because this is part 2. So they're about to leave the hospital and mom calls. Husband looks at the phone and he's like, interesting. What husband didn't know was that the healer made it so that thing reversed instantly. It didn't take hours. It took a couple of minutes. So he picks up the phone and he's like, hello? Mom is on the other end like, hey son, I'm not feeling good at all. I think I might need to go to the hospital. Mind you, he got her on speaker, so wife heard that. Well, Carolina heard that. And they look at each other and husband goes, yeah, what's wrong? Like, what happened? Mom is like, my stomach is killing me and I'm throwing up and I need somebody to come and help me go to the hospital. Husband is like, oh, really? That's funny, because I'm in the hospital right now with Carolina for the same thing. And mom goes, oh my gosh, it must be like a stomach virus or something, like because we had dinner, maybe like some of the meat was bad. Just trying to come up with excuses to try to hide the fact that she tried to poison Carolina. But husband is still not done playing with her yet, because it's like, how could you even do this? So he's like, yeah, must have been, but she's all good now. She's perfectly fine now. And that seems to kind of shock mom. You can hear it by her voice, but she tries to play it off. But clearly they already know what's up, so that didn't like go over their heads. And so mom is like, are you gonna come pick me up so we can go to the hospital? And husband is like, nah, why don't you call the person that helped you poison my wife? I'm sure they can help. And mom instantly starts crying, like she's boohoo sobbing on the phone. And she's like, how could you accuse me of such things? I know we had a rough past, but I've been trying. I've been putting in the work so we can come together as a family. And this is pissing husband off even more, because he already knows the truth. And she's trying to play it to make it seem like he's a bad person. And at this point, he's angry. So Carolina's like, just hang up the phone, babe. Because she can tell that her husband is visibly getting angry. And so husband goes to mom and he says, you know what? The healer that helped my wife from your poison, when I asked him to reverse it, maybe I should have let it kill you just like you tried to kill my wife. And he hung up the phone. When I tell you, jaws were dropped to the floor, even Carolina couldn't even believe that he just said that to his mom. And although Carolina was in pain, she felt bad, because she never asked for any of this. She really just wanted like a strong family support system. Unfortunately, no matter how hard she tried, mother-in-law just didn't like her. And at one point, she just stopped trying to please her and just stopped trying to get her to like her because it's just not going to happen. And at this point, mom is blowing up husband's phone. Now, because husband knows that this is going to pass, not going to actually die from it, he's not answering. But she's like blowing up his phone. And so they get their discharge papers. They leave the hospital. And then husband tells Carolina, I'm going to drop you home and I'm going to go to my mother's house. Carolina didn't fully agree with this, but it's his mom. What can you really say? So she's like, please be careful. Because at this point, we don't know what she's capable of. Before he left to go see her, they prayed together. She made sure that they prayed together before leaving. Husband left, came back, didn't say what happened between them. He just said, we're never speaking to my mom ever again. Until this day, he has yet to speak to her. He really was strong. He was really serious about that no contact. They have yet to speak since then. Could you imagine having twins just for them to turn out to be your worst nightmare? Y'all better have your snacks. Hey, snacks. English is hard. Anyways, y'all better have y'all snacks ready because it's scary story time. For today's snack, we have the same one. It's Cars sweet and salty mix. It's like nuts or something. I don't know. Anyway, so there's this wife and husband and they're pregnant. This is their first baby and they're so excited about it because they have been trying to have a baby for like a really long time. And they found out, like, everybody rejoiced, their family rejoiced. And then they find out that they're actually having twins. So it's even better. After years and years of trying, not only do they get one kid, but they get two. Everyone is so happy for them and they're getting prepared. They're buying clothes, getting the nursery ready, all of that. So fast forward to the wife being 8 months pregnant. So one day she goes to the market because she's about to cook. As she's in the market, she's shopping and she sees this seller that keeps staring at her. She doesn't really pay it any mind because she's a pregnant woman. People stare, especially when you're pregnant with twins, right? Because she's huge. But that seller happened to have the exact type of spinach that she wanted to buy. So she goes to the seller and she's, asking how much. The seller doesn't even say hello. The seller immediately asks her, when are you due? And the wife is like, I don't even know if I want to tell you that now. The seller tells her, I'm trying to save your life. When are you due? That kind of took her by surprise. And she's like, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't need the spinach that bad. She starts to walk away. And the seller asks her, are you due on this and that date? And it was the exact date that she was actually due. And mom turns around like, how do you know that? Who are you? Like, why are you questioning me right now? The seller looks at her and goes, you don't even know what you're in for. You're carrying the children of Dambala. Now, if y'all don't know, Dambala is a serpent god, known to be one of the most evil entities to exist. Mom immediately gets mad. I'd be mad too if somebody told me the children I'm carrying are of Dambala. At this point, mom is going off. The wife is going off on the seller. The seller's like, I apologize. I didn't mean any harm, but you should know. I understand you're mad and I understand nobody wants to be, somebody to talk bad about their kids. But I'm telling you the truth and you need to get protected now. You need to do something now because Dambala has already put their hands on your twins. I understand that this is not what you want to hear right now, but you will know that I'm telling the truth because your children, your twins, will be born under a full bloody moon. At this point, mom is calling her crazy, all types of crazy, mad, and she leaves the market. Like, she don't even want to shop no more. She leaves. She goes home. She explains to her husband her interaction today at the market. She also speaks to her mom about it. Now, her husband is like, that was just some crazy lady. She don't know what she's talking about. But the moment she told her mom instantly got scared. Her mom is like, we should do something about this. We should listen to her. And the wife is like, no, we're not going to listen to her because if we listen to her, then that gives what she said power. And mom is like, but what if what she said is true? That's not something to be played with. You may not even make it through birth. Wife don't want to hear none of that. She dismisses her mom. And a little bit of time goes past, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, getting prepared to give birth. And then wife finds out that the day that she's supposed to give birth is going to be a full bloody moon. Welcome to part 2. Y'all better have y'all snacks. I just got some crackers for this one. Anyway, so wife finds out that the day that she's supposed to give birth, I can't even speak, is going to be a full bloody moon, just like that lady seller said. And so at this point now, it's giving her chills. She's due in about a week or two. So now she goes to her mom and she tells her mom. And her mom is like, I told you we should do something about this. And so her mom is talking to her friend about it. And her friend is like, I know somebody that can help. And that somebody is a voodoo priest. So mom talks to wife about it. Wife agrees. Wife speaks to husband about it. Husband agrees. And they all go together. Now, the voodoo priest knew that they were coming. He just didn't know why they were coming. So just like a regular customer to him, right? So when they get there, they walk in. And the moment they walk in, the voodoo priest looks at her and says, get out. They're standing there confused like, what do you mean get out? He looks at her and he goes, I don't want any kind of trouble. You need to leave. And this like spooked them because they're not here for trouble. Immediately, she starts begging him. She's like, I need your help. He's like, I can't help you and you need to leave now. Like, you need to leave my place. And at this point, she starts crying. She's like, please. This seller lady told me that my kids, my twins that I'm carrying are of Dambala. And I don't know what to do. You're the only person that I know that can help me. And the voodoo priest looked straight at her and was like, it's too late to help you. I'm going to be honest with you right now. It's way too late to help you. You waited way too long. Those babies are about to be born and you need to leave my place. He was dead serious about it. And so they have no choice. They leave. As they're driving home, mom is crying. Wife is crying. Husband is clearly upset. And as they're heading home, mom, like her mom, the wife's mom, gets a phone call from the friend that referred the voodoo priest. She answers the phone and the friend is on the phone crying. So mom is like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? And the friend says that the voodoo priest just called her and told her to get ready for a funeral because wife is not gonna make birth. She's not gonna survive it. The twins will, but she's not. Y'all, I am so sorry. I got my snacks, so get yours because part 3 is here. Grandma's friend gets that phone call from the voodoo priest and she knows his friend and he don't freak out like that. So she knows that he's telling the truth and that's why she's crying too. So she tells them like to get ready for a funeral because she's not gonna make it. Now everybody's in the car crying. They get home and it's as if everything is falling into place. Not in a good way though, because guess what, y'all? Immediately she starts not feeling good. She didn't feel good for the rest of that day. I mean, granted, she basically just found out that she may be passing away soon. I wouldn't be feeling good either. However, this was more so medically. She ended up having to go to the hospital a few days after, and doctors put her on bed rest for the rest of her entire pregnancy, which wasn't that long. It's only 2 weeks. However, it's just like everything is coming together, just like that lady seller said, just like the voodoo priest said. She's inconsolable every day. She's having nightmares. She's having bad dreams. She can't sleep at night. She can't keep anything down at this point. And about a week and a half passed and she goes into labor and the voodoo priest was right. She didn't make it. She passed away. But the twins survived. And the twins grew up to be Chucky and his wife. No, I'm just kidding. But it is the same. If you guys remember Chucky, Dambala is that same god. Anyways, the twins were born. Mom didn't make it. Mom's mom and husband ended up having to do a funeral. They tried, after the funeral, they tried to go back to that same voodoo priest to get answers. But he refused to help them. They tried to go to other people and they refused to help them. Whatever is going on, they want nothing to do with it. And those twins that were born, they actually grew up to be their village's worst nightmare. Like, they terrorized their village. They were indeed born from Dambala. Let me know if you guys want to hear the story time with the twins too, and how they were just terrorizers.